A Treatise of Human Nature by David Hume. Book 1 of the Understanding. Part 1 of Ideas, their Origin, Composition, Connection, Abstraction. Section 5 of Relations. The word relation is commonly used in two senses considerably different from each other, either for that quality by which two ideas are connected together in the imagination, and the one naturally introduces the other, after the manner above explained, or for that particular circumstance in which even upon the arbitrary union of two ideas in the fancy, we may think proper to compare them. In common language the former is always the sense in which we use the word relation, and 'tis only in philosophy that we extend it to mean any particular subject of comparison, without a connecting principle. Thus distance will be allowed by philosophers to be a true relation, because we acquire an idea of it by the comparing of objects, but in a common way we say that nothing can be more distant than such or such things from each other. Nothing can have less relation, as if distance and relation were incompatible. It may perhaps be esteemed an endless task to enumerate all those qualities which make objects admit of comparison, and by which the ideas of philosophical relation are produced. But if we diligently consider them, we shall find that without difficulty they may be comprised under 7 general heads, which may be considered as the sources of all philosophical relation. 1. The first is resemblance, and this is a relation without which no philosophical relation can exist, since no objects will admit of comparison, but what have some degree of resemblance. But though resemblance be necessary to all philosophical relation, it does not follow that it always produces a connection or association of ideas. When a quality becomes very general, and is common to a great many individuals, it leads not the mind directly to any one of them, but by presenting at once too great a choice, does thereby prevent the imagination from fixing on any single object. 2. Identity may be esteemed a second species of relation. This relation I here consider as applied in its strictest sense to constant and unchangeable objects, without examining the nature and foundation of personal identity, which shall find its place afterwards. Of all relations the most universal is that of identity, being common to every being whose existence has any duration. 3. After identity, the most universal and comprehensive relations are those of space and time, which are the source of an infinite number of comparisons, such as distant, contiguous, above, below, before, after, etc. 4. All those objects which admit of quantity or number may be compared in that particular, which is another very fertile source of relation. 5. When any two objects possess the same quality in common, the degrees in which they possess it form a fifth species of relation. Thus of two objects which are both heavy, the one may be either of greater or less weight than the other. Two colors that are the same kind may yet be of different shades, in that respect admit of comparison. 6. The relation of contrariety may at first sight be regarded as an exception to the rule, that no relation of any kind can subsist without some degree of resemblance. But let us consider that no two ideas are in themselves contrary, except those of existence and non-existence, which are plainly resembling, as implying both of them an idea of the object, though the latter excludes the object from all times and places, in which it is supposed not to exist. 7. All other objects, such as fire and water, heat and cold, are only found to be contrary from experience, and from the contrariety of their causes or effects, which relation of cause and effect is a seventh philosophical relation, as well as a natural one. The resemblance implied in this relation shall be explained afterwards. It might naturally be expected that I should join difference to the other relations, but that I consider rather as a negation of relation than as anything real or positive. Difference is of two kinds as opposed either to identity or resemblance. The first is called a difference of number, the other of kind.